Hello everyone and welcome to Art on the Farm with me, Sage and Jan, brought to you by the Monroe Area Council for the Arts. Today we are going to be making air dry clay beads. To do this, you are going to need at least red, yellow, and blue in the 1 ounce packages of air dry clay. If you want other colors, that's wonderful. That's perfectly fine. But at least those colors. White will also be very handy for you. If you don't have a white, you may want to get one as well. But the reason that we say that you need the red, yellow, and blue is that those are the 3 primary colors. The 3 primary colors are going to make your 3 secondary colors. So for this project, for the air dry clay beads, we're going to go on and take and mix just a pinch of our yellow with a pinch of our red. And when I work these together really nicely, it's going to start to swirl. Then the colors will start to mesh and mix. We're going to get a very nice orange. I'm going to lay that orange down to the side. Now I'm going to mix my next 2 primary colors. I'm going to mix red and blue. This will give us our next secondary color. When you choose to mix the red and the blue, get just a smaller pinch of your blue and a larger pinch of your red. Smaller pinch of your blue and a larger pinch of your red. The reason for this is oftentimes the premixed blues are quite strong. And it can overpower the red a little bit. You can always add a little bit more, but to start, go on and do much less blue than red. And I think that's plenty dark enough. Red and blue are making a very nice violet or purple. Okay. Once you have that mixed really well, we're going to do our final secondary color. Our final secondary color is going to be yellow and blue. Oftentimes these will store really well in a zip bag as long as you go back and you use it within about 3 days. Just like with my blue and red, I'm going to get a smaller pinch of the blue than of my yellow. A smaller pinch of my blue than of my yellow. You can always add more blue. Also, be very careful with your surface and with your fingers. I've noticed that I've been getting a little bit up underneath my nails. That can end up showing up in my color and compromising my color quality. So just be aware of it. Don't be nervous about it. If it happens, it's going to be okay. And that yellow and blue are working together as I need this to make a very nice green. So now we have our 3 primary colors and our 3 secondary colors. Go on and choose a color. Doesn't matter to me. Choose a color and pull enough up into your hands like a marble. Okay? And then start rolling that in your hands. Notice I chose orange. I didn't use all of my orange. I want to save that for some marbling effects in a couple of minutes. Once it's nice and round and you don't see any obvious imperfections, I'm going to take a straw. You're just going to poke right through with the straw. Now, as I do this, I'm not going wham, all right? I'm going very gently. And after I do my initial entrance, I'm going to start going from side to side. See how I'm wiggling that side to side? I'm going to take my other finger and I'm going to put it on the intended exit there. From side to side. Because the air dry clay that is foam based is just so soft and so tender, it gives us a lot of positives. There are also a few negatives about it. One of the negatives about it is it tends to lose shape very easily. Now, once it's made it all the way through, it's got a little bit of like a little clay poop on the end here. So I'm going to try to work that in. And if it has lost its shape, I'm going to work on that for a minute. You don't want that extra sticking up and sticking out. That's going to make it look like you didn't know what you were doing, and you did. So make sure that you get all of that extra. I'm not worried about the end of the straw. Big deal. I'm worried about right over here. See how nice and smooth the other side is? Try to make this side look the same. Okay. Now I'm going to be wiggling this and ever so slightly pulling it from the straw. I want to be able to hold this and twist the straw. I want to be able to hold my bead and twist the straw. If you cannot do this, you may have a hard time taking it off later. So this is an important step to make sure that he has not stuck to the straw, adhered to the straw, stuck to the straw. Okay? Now, once I know that it is using the straw for support but is not stuck to the straw, I'm going to take my straw. I'm going to put it between two cups right here. I'm going to make my next one. Let's do one more solid color before we switch it up a little bit. Again, you want a pinch like a marble. This is a good time to start practicing consistency. It's a good time to start practicing your consistency. Can you make multiple beads that are all the same size? You may not want to, but can you do it? That was a fresh red, and what I've noticed is it must have had some sort of exposure to the environment, because maybe it just wasn't sealed well enough. Because what you'll see is right here, as I'm poking that, nothing important is happening there. It's not squishing in. Now look at the other side. When I do that, I go in. Here when I go. So that tells me that this was not sealed well, or something has happened to this part of the air dry clay. If it's not going to work well here when I'm just grabbing it, it is not going to make very good art for you either. So if I were you, I would just peel that off, sadly. Look, that's a huge chunk to lose too. And oftentimes you don't ever know until you open the package. But right before this video, I opened the package. There's no reason for it to be this way. There's some sections here too. So just be aware. If that happens, don't say, I will use it. Yes, I will. Because you're only going to regret it. It's so sad. Hate that. All right. So I formed my ball have a little imperfection here, so I think that's where my hole's going to go, right on my imperfection. And I'm going to remember my technique before as I wiggle, wiggle, wiggle. Stick him on there. Note, this is not a quick process. This is an easygoing process, so don't do it if you're really pushed for time. Push Mr. Orange over here. Yep. Try your best to get it in the center. Got a little off center that time. And now when it comes to that poop that it creates as it comes on there, go on and fix that. Okay. All right. Once I have that fixed, I'm going to compare. And I didn't do too good of a job of making them consistent. Notice that my red bead is pretty much bigger than my other. So as I'm learning to kind of eyeball these things, that's something that I can work on. That's a good challenge for me every time. I'm going to be very, very careful not to let my red and my orange meet. Because with the air dry clay that is foam based, when they meet, they will attach and make one super bead. And that's not something that you always want to happen yet. So I'm going to leave those and try my best to make sure that they don't meet. Our final two beads that we're going to make, I want you to choose a primary color, which would be red, yellow, or blue. Choose a primary color, red, yellow, or blue. I'm going to choose blue. Now, I want you to choose the second color to be this color's complement. If you chose red, then the complementary color for red is the only secondary color that doesn't contain red. So the complementary color for red is going to be green. The complementary color for red is going to be green. If you have a color wheel, which I have each of those little pieces in a nice little circle right here for me. If you had a color wheel, then you would see that the complementary color is directly opposite the color wheel of the color that you've chosen. So red is directly opposite. Oh no. And the color wheel, there we go. Red is directly opposite of green. If you chose blue, which I chose blue, then the secondary color that you're going to pick up is orange. If you chose blue for your primary color, the secondary color that I want you to pick up is orange. And then if you chose yellow, the color complement for yellow is purple. So you should have either red and green in your hand, blue and orange in your hand, or yellow and purple or violet in your hand. Now we're going to take these two and we are going to mix them, creating that nice swirl. The thing about the swirl is there is most definitely a peak where the swirl is the prettiest right before the colors start meshing and looking terrible. So find the peak. Sometimes it helps to do this number and say, ooh, yes, that's it. It's really getting there. And then know when to stop. That's the hard part. Once you know when to stop, You're going to go on and form that into a ball. Very nice. And put that on your straw. Gentle, gentle. If one side of the straw is starting to look a little bit dirty, wiggle those suckers on down. Use the other side. Finally, the one you're going to make on your own after the video is your choice. I hope you had a wonderful time creating with us today. There we go. This has been Art on the Farm with Mia, Sage, and Jan, brought to you by the Monroe Area Council for the Arts. You're going to let these dry for about 7 or 8 days, and then string away on your choice of string. Oftentimes, I really like to use the shoestring yarn. It has a shoestring end to it, but a yarn base to it. And that's something that you can get online. So let them dry on their cups for about 7 or 8 days and enjoy. Thank you so much. See you next time.